if you're looking for tips to market your book, and this is either for self-publication or for traditional, there's some things you need to think about. First, you need to think about genre. Absolutely. I didn't think about it that much. That was my mistake. You need to be going to the bookstore as a writer and say, where will my book be on the shelf at Barnes & Noble or my independent bookstore? Where are they going to shelve it? You need to identify books that are very similar to your own. Because if you're even pitching to an agent, you need to be able to say, my book is such and such, fill in the blank. You know, it's Crime and Punishment in First Century Palestine. Okay, you need to be able to say that. It's better if you can identify a book that's been published in the last 10 years so that they have a more marketable comparison. You also should be able to recognize subgenres if you're writing Christian fiction. So you need to recognize that it's not just historical fiction, but it may be Amish fiction, or it may be, you know, Western fiction settling the early American West. But know, you know, kind of where you're going to fit on that shelf. Other things that would be beyond marketing, let's say the book is now moving towards publication, either through a traditional or self-publication. You want to get blurbs. So those blurbs are going to come from the people who have written books similar to your own, but they're higher up on the food chain. They're better known, they possibly are more successful. These are the people you want to contact well before publication date, probably 4 months out at least before publication date. You want to contact those people and say, hey, will you give me a blurb that we can use on the book? And if they can't get it to you in time for publication, then you say, I'll take it anyway, I can use it for promotional materials, because you can, and I did. You want to be on Goodreads. Goodreads is where readers go to find books. And you have to be very discreet on Goodreads. You create an author page, you put some biographical information, you're going to have a picture of your cover, and you're going to look for groups, reading groups, that are reading your kind of book. And you join them, and you do the little allowable kind of, hey, I have written a book about this particular thing, folks might be interested in it kind of thing. You should get your publisher to authorize a giveaway on Goodreads. My publisher did 2, and it helped us pick up hundreds of reviews. It made a huge difference. NetGalley, if your publisher will pay for it, if you have to pay for it, it can be pretty expensive. NetGalley is a terrific way to market books because it is basically a subscription service. It's like an ebook where you can download the ebook for a limited period of time. And NetGalley is used by a lot of bloggers and book reviewers with newspapers. And so they'll download the book for free, and then they'll post their review on their blog or their podcast or their newspaper column. And so we picked up quite a few reviews by using NetGalley, but you have to pay NetGalley for that service. Other places would be blog tours. You know, start looking for bloggers. That's another way to promote it. I would say go to a few book festivals. Book festivals tend to lean a lot toward genre, really specific genre. The biggest things you're going to find at book festivals are romance and probably fantasy. So you'll have a tough time as religious fiction competing against that unless you're in a book festival that's designed for religious fiction or Christian fiction. So there's several ways that you can promote your book. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and be available for interviews and doing guest blog posts, that type of thing. I did a lot of that and picked up readers that way. Facebook, have a Facebook author page. Identify yourself on Facebook and, you know, participate with readers. And finally, get a newsletter together. Before the book goes to press, start cultivating readers by engaging them in a newsletter. So, you know, developing a large newsletter list so that every time something happens, you can invite them to that event. So if you're doing a book signing or a reading or you're appearing at a book festival, make sure they know, because they can send their friends and their relatives as well as themselves if they're in the area.